Hey Alex, how you doing today?
Feeling good. I'm very excited for the show today.
Yeah, today we have a designer on the podcast. I'm wondering if you have any experience with like the design process or rebranding or anything like that.
Yeah, design's something I've had to work around in client relations for quite a while, and sometimes I have to jump in. You wear a lot of hats in small business marketing, as you know. But yeah, speaking of rebranding, I think of one specific story where my hometown dropped 30 grand on a rebrand process. And the slogan that they came up with, worth 30 grand. Are you ready for it, Jeff?
$30,000 slogan. Yeah, I'm ready for it.
Mount Pleasant, Michigan, meet here. And that's it. And that's really all they had to show at their council board meeting when they presented this. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was the town was a little bit upset with how much money was dropped on just meet here. But either way, I think we're going to have a lot of good design lessons and philosophies that we'll gain from today's podcast. So I'm excited for that.
Well, let's hope each individual word we have doesn't cost $15,000 a piece.
Yes.
Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Limelight podcast, your source for medical marketing news. Get insights into the latest trends, learn about groundbreaking marketing strategies, and discover the newest tools. We'll let you know what questions you should be asking and where to find the answers. All this and more brought to you by the team at Digital Limelight Media.
Yeah, I feel like if I was any joke I wanted to make here is that Abby was probably the first person I met in DLM's offices because she's quite physically next to the door.
Yeah.
Quite literally next to the door,
Yeah.
So I have to run into her. But
I'm always the first person. Well, when I worked in the office, I was always the first person that people met. So I would greet them and give them water or coffee.
We're happy to have Abby, one of our senior designers, on the show today. She's the first person I met when I walked into DLM, and it might have been because she's sitting really close to the door.
Yeah, I'm happy to have Abby here because I'm fascinated by design when it comes to architecture, layout, print media, contemporary art, things like that. So I'm really glad you're here to introduce hopefully some deeper design topics that people may not realize they encounter on a daily basis, rather than when they, specifically seek it out by going to a gallery or an art competition. So Abby, thanks for being here.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, thanks for having me.
So the one thing I wanted to talk about quickly is some of the people I think have a better understanding of generally is logo design. So I'd like to ask you what makes a good logo, or maybe what makes a bad logo?
Good and bad logos. We see logos everywhere. We're constantly inundated. I mean, especially now with social media, branding has kind of filled our lives, right? And I look at logo design as, how is this logo going to be able to transfer from one medium to the next? Is it going to be readable? Is it going to be able to scale large or teeny tiny, like say put on a pen? I've kind of seen recently with the advent of, Google Images and Pinterest, a lot of repeats or a lot of copycat logos. So,
Sure.
Good logo design, I mean, does it stand out? Is it unique to you? Does it tell your story without being obvious about telling your story? Say you're a dog groomer and your logo is just a dog with some suds. That's not very interesting because it's just so obvious.
Right.
So how can you work to get to a place that's this unique icon or letter mark that is different and kind of makes you stand out against your competition?
Abby, do you have a favorite logo or like a logo transformation that you've been impressed by that you've seen?
Yeah, I worked on this project with you, Alex. We were able to work with this client. I mean, it was a lot of back and forth, but that relationship that you build with your clients as you're creating a logo, I think speaks volumes. So they cared about their brand and about how they were represented. And we got to talk with them a lot about their ideas. And that really shows through in the logo, where it's a unique icon and unique mark that is unique to them. And they're able to take that logo and make it into a piece of art they made for their wall, this mosaic piece of their logo. So we made a simplistic form that's able to transform into a piece of art, or it's able to print embroidered on their scrubs. So that logo has versatility through different mediums.
That's really cool. Now I'm thinking about how you said they were built from the ground up, basically, but not everybody can, kind of has that luxury of starting from a foundation. People have these logos that might be on different materials. So, what's the right time, if there is a right time, to think about getting a new logo and a new maybe rebranding?
I think the biggest question here is, do you like your logo? Do you like your current branding? Is it something you get excited about when you look at your brand? I am not always so fast or so quick to jump to brand new logo design with every project, because really that logo is associated with you. And if you have a really established practice, that logo kind of becomes an instant mark. People see it and they're like, oh, yeah, I know that brand. I recognize them. I'm familiar with them. So I'm not always so fast to jump to a brand new logo design. I think a lot of times you can update, and you can update colors and fonts where that logo still feels the same, but it just kind of brings you into a new era with your logo.
So you've mentioned about scalability and going from one medium to another, but you haven't mentioned what you said earlier, much more about readability. So can you tell us more about readability, kind of what it is, and how might somebody improve it with a new logo?
Readability, you want people to be able to read your logo, the practice name or your brand name. You don't want a logo that has like teeny thin, super thin fonts, because it's on web, it's not going to be readable. I mean, those very skinny typefaces work well on print and they can be very elegant, but they don't always transfer to web well, because web deals with pixels. You're dealing with little squares of color. When building out your brand, you should always take into consideration things like that. The size of the font, when you take it and scale it way down, is it still something that you can read? Some fonts can get extremely hard to differentiate the letters that you're looking at. So you want to be able to take your logo and blow it up huge, say on a billboard, or be able to really scale it down to print on like a pen that you write with. So having the ability to go big or small is huge, because you want to be able to put your brand and your logo on as many things as you can. I mean, especially if you're doing like trade shows, there's tons of products that you're going to print your logo on. Will it work for all of those products?
It was pretty cool. One time, a designer had a logo that they built for one of my clients, and they took that logo and slapped it on the side of a building, and that was pretty neat because the logo was very clear to read, and it was wild to see a photo of it as part of the side of a building, because you see it only on your screen, but then to see it in real life as like this big and part of this building. That's a really cool thing, and obviously a testament to readability ultimately.
Yeah, entering into the 3D space of that it's kind of fun, because you really see how your logo holds up in these different formats. And a logo printed on a building, I mean, if the letters are too thin, or if they don't contrast enough with the background that they're put on, that logo will fall apart on the side of a building. You want people to be able to see that driving down the road or walking down the street. So contrast is another huge part of readability. If you're taking a white logo and putting it on a cream building, it's probably going to kind of blend in. And so having options for light backgrounds, dark backgrounds, kind of a middle range background, or a busy background. You don't always have the option to have just a flat color. So will that logo work over top of photography? Or if you have like this crazy printed building that you need to put your logo on, will that work?
So that really gets into another core principle of design, which is the use of color. So how would you describe sort of the ideal way to use color in a logo?
Ideally, you want a logo that's 1 to 2 colors. You can always add colors in that are kind of your accent brand colors that get used here and there. But for the most part, you want to stick to a 1 or 2 color logo because that will allow you to transition it from kind of one medium to the next. And if you're coming in with this logo that's like a million colors and you're trying to print that, say you're trying to embroider that, for one, it's going to be extremely expensive because every color is then a new thread, or if you're screen printing, every color is then a new ink color.
Yeah, when I think about color, one thing that I'm reminded of is when I worked in newspapers, color was a premium offering, and typically clients would not want to pay for having multiple colors on an ad. But at the same time, having ad with some color was a way to pop out and be seen and show difference. So it's always something that I think you want to be flexible with it and how it can present, and go from there.
Yeah, there's going to be situations where you can only print one color, and if your logo is super detailed and can't easily be transferred to a one color, it's not going to look ideal. It can get messy, it can get confusing. If you have a ton of color in your logo and you're trying to then place it on something that is also full of color, it's going to kind of muddle together, and there's not going to be this nice standout as a single color logo can provide you. Especially to get your logo into a one color, I mean, you can reverse it over photography. So you can have a white logo on a dark background with lots of textures going on. So I think best practice would be to try to keep your logo to 2 colors at most.
So having a 2 or even 1 color option for your logo is not just good design, it's also cost saving for clients and provides you the best flexibility. Abby, thank you. We will be right back after this.
Hey, Alex from DLM here. One question I get from medical practices all the time is, what can I do to gain a better reputation online? The answer is DLM Review, a reputation management tool designed to make review requests simple, easy, and a natural part of your practice. It even has the ability to weed out bad reviews so that they don't make it to public platforms like Yelp, Google, or Facebook. Contact our team at info@DLM Conversion today to get the conversation started. That's info@DLMConversion.com. All right, we're moving on to the next segment, and we're going to be talking more specifically with Abby about Pantone colors and the Pantone management system. So we were just talking about colors in general, about how a two-tone or even single-color logo is usually best practice, but we want to get a little bit more colorful, if you will. So could you talk to us about Pantone and PMS, the Pantone management system, and how those are used?
Pantone is kind of the standard in color, and they work through all departments. So, I mean, they work with paint, they work with CMYK, which is just your standard 4-color process. They try to make it so that your color from all different standpoints is as cohesive as you can get. And if you're printing in Pantone, I mean, every color is its own ink, is kind of a good way to think of that. So say your brand colors are blue, yellow, and gray. You would have to pay for a 3-color print on that. So if you simplify it and you decide blue is going to be your brand color, then you only have 1 color to pay for, if that makes sense.
So something that people outside of the graphic design world might understand or recognize about Pantone is that there's a Pantone color of the year every year that always makes some headlines for a few days. Abby, what's this year's color, and how do you think it will influence designs in 2022?
So this year's color is very Perry. It's very hard to keep this answer short because it's used kind of throughout all of design mediums, not just graphic design, but it's used in interior design and clothing and fashion design, on social media, and you'll see it in like shoe design. So you'll see this color kind of pop up, and it's based off of data that they have collected, and they picked this color actually years in advance. So they're pulling trends before the general public realize, I guess, what's happening.
So you said it's very Perry. I assume that means it's a type of like periwinkle. So we're looking at like a purplish kind of color.
Yeah, it's kind of this bluish purple color. Blue's Clues introduced periwinkle to little kids as kind of this like light blue color, but it's definitely more of kind of this purpley blue color.
Okay, well, people, keep your eyes out for a deeper purple color in your daily lives on social media and in the world around you.
Thank you, Abby. Appreciate your details on Pantone and the Pantone Color of the Year. I'll keep an eye out for Very Perry. We're going to transition to one more ad break, so stay tuned. If you're looking for a better way to capture leads and make a personal connection with potential patients, Digital Limelight Media has a revolutionary tool for you. Our marketing experts have developed Iris Text AI, an online tool that connects your staff to website leads through text rather than emails, fostering a closer relationship with increased conversion rates. Learn more about Iris Text AI by emailing us at info@dlmconversion.com. That's info@dlmconversion.com. So we got one more question for you, Abby, and it's an important one as it pertains to DLM. So how might a client work with DLM to improve both their physical and digital presence in tandem?
What's great about DLM is kind of the team that we associate with your account. So when you sign on with us, you get a designer that is your main designer for your account. So they're able to really understand your brand and voice and be able to carry that through the different touch points that we might work with you on. All of our designers are very skilled, and they have the tools and the knowledge to create beautiful designs for you. And they have a very strong understanding of the design concepts and the rules that we've learned throughout our life and in school to make sure that those design pieces are easy to digest and easy to understand and pleasing to the eye, and that they fit with who you are as a brand and the voice that you are trying to convey to the world around you.
So as we discussed today with Abby, our senior designer here at DLM, logos are a key component of branding, but they're not the only part of what makes a solid, memorable brand. I'm looking forward to talking with Abby and our other designers in future episodes about the benefits of having a strong brand and how to establish yourself as a medical practice. Today, we also pulled another one of my co-writers, Jackie, to talk briefly about her experience working at DLM. Jackie, are you excited to be on the podcast?
Of course. Thanks for having me.
So, Jackie, I know you're one of the longer-serving writers here. How long have you been working at DLM?
I have been working with DLM for a little over 3 years now.
And what would you say is your favorite part about working with DLM?
My favorite thing about working at DLM is being able to collaborate with a team of innovative thinkers, because everyone really brings their own fresh ideas and perspectives to the table, which really strengthens us as a team and allows us to best serve our clients' needs.
Yeah, I agree. And I have to thank your team specifically for all the idea creation that they do for social, because it is quite a volume-rich medium to market on. You really have to have a lot of ideas to play around with. So knowing that you work on social media plans for clients, how is that different from some of the other work that you do as a writer?
Well, social media plans are generally a little bit more flexible regarding creativity, depending on the client. So I really enjoy the creative aspect of it and being able to make it a little bit more fun.
Well, I'm just glad you're doing it at all, because I know I'm terrible at social plans. It's always agonizing for me when I had to come up with posts for my previous job. Actually, I don't do social for DLM here because I get in a rut and I just write the same thing over and over again. And I really just don't think in the right voice for social posts. So thank you, Jackie, for taking care of that for me.
No problem. Yeah, I really like doing it.
Thanks for hanging with us on the podcast, Jackie. It was great to talk about social media, and we'll be sure to bring you back for a deeper dive into social-driven content and how that's changing in a future episode, I'm sure.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
If you feel like you should be posting more often on social media or getting more engaged with your audience, our team can help. Just get in touch with us by calling our office or emailing at dlmconversion.com. That's info at dlmconversion.com.
We talked a lot about design, logos, and color today on the show. If you're looking to update your brand or want an honest review of how your materials stack up to competitors in your area, set up a meeting with DLM and we'll place one of our senior designers on the call to help you develop a solution. Send us an email at info@dlmconversion.com to start the conversation. That's info@dlmconversion.com.
Thanks for joining us on the Limelight podcast. We hope you learned something new today that adds value to your practice. Remember to talk to an expert about your specific situation before making decisions based on the information provided in this podcast. Digital Limelight Media LLC, its employees, partners, sponsors, and guests are not responsible for any action taken or not taken as a result of listening to this podcast. As always, we welcome your questions and encourage you to reach out about any of the services we offer at DLM. Have a great day.